Hey everybody, welcome to the next video in our series of Working in the New Normal. And what I want to address in this one is working in a factory as we reopen, as we get people back to work. There's some issues that are going to continue in the new normal to be important, at least until we have a vaccine that everyone can get, or that we built the so-called herd immunity, where everyone has built up some kind of resistance, presumably because they've gotten the virus over time. So until we reach that point, we're going to have to maintain some social distancing, right? Some distance from people as we work. And that can be kind of a challenge in a factory where we're used to actually, from a lean perspective, we're used to thinking in terms of putting things closer together, not spreading them apart. So there are things we can do, and we have some other videos talking about flexing and having people move and being able to actually build products, maybe not at the same volume as before, but without having to physically redesign or relay out a factory. But of course, in that scenario, people will have to move. But then the question arises, and that's the topic of this video: how do we maintain that social distancing easily? And if there is a quote unquote violation of that social distancing, or if we discover some infection within the plant, how do we do tracing, of who that infected person came in contact with? That's the issue. So there are a couple challenges within the 5-minute context of these videos. There's not going to be a lot of time to get into detail, but a couple options that are available that you can explore on your own nickel. One of them is the use of smartphones. So smartphones have this thing. Here's my smartphone, probably similar to yours. Has this thing called Bluetooth, and Bluetooth can measure the distance between one Bluetooth device and another based on the signal strength. So apparently it's pretty accurate. So it's not that difficult to come up with an app that would actually communicate with other smartphones running Bluetooth and be able to monitor the distance. So that's the basic idea, is that you'd have a smartphone app running on your smartphone. Other people would have the same app running on their smartphone. So that implies everyone has a smartphone, right, that's running. And when you got within a certain distance, it would alert you, warn you, and also keep a record of it. So there's an option of exchanging maybe some anonymous or some kind of anonymous information or some kind of ID, so that you know who you came in contact with. And if necessary, you could trace back, so keep a record of that and trace back. And if there's some infection incident, you can trace back and see if you came in contact with that person via your smartphone record. So that's an option. Now, this is not a new idea, because if you do a Google search, you'll find these apps already exist. And one of them that I thought was interesting, and there was a YouTube video that I'll put the link down below on this page for, a YouTube video that describes it, is in use in Singapore. So basically, as I described it, I'm not sure if it has the alert piece of it, where it's warning you if you're getting close, but certainly it's keeping a record of who you're coming in proximity with, so that you can do tracing if necessary. But it works the same way with Bluetooth, and I guess it's free as far as I could tell. I didn't see any cost of this. It's being sponsored by the Singapore government. Now, I did see a lot of people in the comments on this expressing fear about Big Brother and tracking and totalitarian control of your cell phones and gathering data and privacy, et cetera, et cetera. But on the other hand, Singapore has a really good record so far of controlling the virus, and they only have like a handful of deaths in the entire country. So I don't know, that's up to you. But I think a response comment that I also saw was, hey, if you're really concerned about security on your phone, you shouldn't have a smartphone at all, because there's lots of other data not related to any COVID app that's already being broadcast and shared. So that's really a big concern that you have. probably you should think about getting a flip phone, right? And not having a smartphone at all. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention in this video, and I'll put the link down below as well, is an actual product not related to smartphones, but working in a very similar way with Bluetooth, by the way, and it's called SafeD, so safe and then DI, SafeD. And basically it's a sensor, and you would clip it to your clothes, and it has a rechargeable battery, so you'd have to recharge it, say, overnight. But it would do two things. It would alert you when you're within a certain distance of a coworker that obviously has another SafeD device, and then it keeps a record kind of in the cloud of that contact, so that if there is a need for tracing later on, you can do that. So it works, as far as I can tell, it works really very similar to these phone apps, but without requiring a phone, right? And you have to buy these little things. They're about $25 or so, in that range, and they're made in Austria. So I bet there are lots of other options. If you have, by the way, if you know of other options, other than ones I've mentioned, post them in the comments below. It's an interesting subject, but there are two good choices. One is more or less free if people already have their cell phones, but their smartphones, but they'd have to carry them with them, and everyone would have to have this app, whatever one you choose, and there are choices, or this SafeD product where people clip it to their clothes, and then they get a warning and they get a record. So with that, we'll leave it, but I'll look forward to, I'm sure there are lots of options. It doesn't sound that hard, either the SafeD device or the smartphones. It doesn't sound that hard to do. So look forward to hearing if you have any additional comments about this. With that, we'll say adieu and see you next time. Bye.